Central Iowa area, but also worked on the Iowa Concern Hotline and worked with that. And I am the, I and Val Betts, we help do the membership and marketing committee.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. And Laura just popped in, so maybe she's giving you access, Emily.
It looks like she's doing it already, so we're good.
Okay, that's fine. That's good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Yeah, access on what? A recording?
Yeah, recording.
Sorry, it didn't start
That's
until
okay.
I got in.
No, I thought I was going to miss part of it. I thought I was going to come in 5 or 10 minutes late, but I beat speed record. So
Yay.
So, okay. And Laura, do you want to tell everybody else what you're doing? Or she's in a meeting?
What do you mean?
What you do for a living besides chase us around?
Oh,
We're just introducing everybody, so
oh yeah. So sorry.
that's okay.
I am Laura, and I teach the FCS students at Iowa State.
All right, very good. Thank you, Laura. And you're very busy. I know everybody's very busy. I'm Suzanne Secor Parker, and I'm the current president. So we'll try to go through this meeting agenda. I didn't say, I'm not retired. I work in the Iowa Department of Education, and I work with a federal food program. It's like school lunch, but it's for little children. It's called the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and I work with the home portion. So I work with 18 home sponsors, and they're responsible for about 1,500 home providers who are caring for children in their home. So it's federal money, so we're having to make sure that people spend it right according to what the rules are. So with that, let's go ahead. We didn't have any changes for the agenda. Tia sent a board, let's see, find all my notes here.
yeah, I apologize. As
That's
soon
okay.
as I was in the process of looking for something for another meeting that I was zooming on, and I happened to see Barb Wollen's email, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I better quick get this sent too.
Okay.
So thank you, Laura, for recording it, because it was very helpful to go in and listen to it to do the minutes on it. So,
So
like
if,
I said, I just automatically record. So
if you take a few minutes to look at the meeting notes. So apparently I printed them out. There they are. No, that's not them. Sorry. Okay, I gotta go look for them myself. So let's see if I can put them up on the screen. I can't. So if you have them, would you please look over them and let's see if there are any changes or corrections needed?
Suzanne, this is Barbara. I see eyes have moved upward, so my assumption is people are done reading.
Okay, thank you.
If that's the case, I move the acceptance of the minutes as submitted.
Okay, it's been moved to accept the minutes as submitted. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes as written. All those in favor say aye.
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 Or raise your hand, wave.
Mhm.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Tina, you did a great job in capturing the minutes.
Yeah.
there wasn't excessive stuff in them, which get me off kilter sometime. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you.
Thank goodness for recordings.
Yes. Okay. Barb Wolin sent the financial report, and I think if you don't mind, we'll wait until she comes on. So if somebody sees her, I miss her, let me know, and we'll have her. So if you don't mind tabling that for a few minutes. Val and Margaret, Val's not present, but marketing and membership, do you have a report, Margaret?
I guess, you know, we did last Wednesday afternoon, had our high tea, and I think we had, let me see here. We had 29 people that registered, or they, you know, they emailed me, they were coming, and we had several people that aren't members, and so that was kind of interesting. I think people just invited different people, which we encouraged them to do. 25 actually attended, is what I have, unless I'm wrong. And 4 did not come then. So we just had 4 out of that 29. So that I gotten word from people that they couldn't, something else had come up at the last minute. Does anybody know who this Dr. Rachel Elke is? Does anybody know who she is? E-L-K-E, yeah. I don't know. And she didn't have her picture on there, and I seem to have, I don't know how she
familiar. Give me a minute and I'll look it up.
Okay. Because, and I know I asked Barb about it. She tried to look it up at Iowa State, couldn't find anything either. So I don't know who she is, but she is not a member. And so I don't know. I thought maybe I would try to see, or I don't know if Luann Alamino, she used to be a member, but is not a member now. I'll try to send her just a little pamphlet about us to see if maybe she'd want to rejoin again. I know she's kind of frustrated and she not being able to travel and do a lot of things right now. But so I don't know if anybody else. I do have those pamphlets. Find your own people, whatever that one is, that I can send out to members to do that. So I think I've gotten several comments that people seem to enjoy our presenters. I think Emily, you guys, that ended the day perfectly, is to have the laughing yoga. I'd never heard of that before. So that was.
Thank you. It was fun.
Well, yeah, it was perfect to end that. I've never heard of that before. So we all need that, with all the stress, need to make ourselves do some of those things, and some of those things that Mary and Rachel talked about too, to think about, how we can slow our lives down and avoid some of the stress that's out there, and deal with it and have a more productive life. So I don't know if anybody else has any comments, but I think that's all I need to report.
Can you
I just
spell
had
that
a
name for me
question.
again?
Oh,
Pardon?
Can you spell that name for me again?
Rachel's, yeah, Rachel.
Rachel, E-L-K-E, and it's doctor.
Okay. Not finding something, but I'll keep digging.
I just had a question. How does the 25, how do the participants, how does that compare to our fall meetings that we've had in the past? I seem to think that's about a kind of an average number that we've had in the past for meetings, maybe. I was one of those 4 that didn't attend because from a meeting at school to picking up parts on the way home. Yeah, it would have been very difficult for me to get on prior to that anyway. So I apologize for letting you know I was coming, and then life just happened in the afternoon.
We understand. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
I think it was a good
We've had
relative to any year in the last 5 or 6, I think. I don't know.
right. I think so too.
It's a much higher number than in the past few years.
Was it like 19 last year or something? I wasn't able to go last year, but I was trying
Yeah,
to
it seems like they were only about 19
Mhm.
Last year. So yeah.
Good attendance. And it was nice because we had people that may not have come, like from Lamar's, from Northwest Iowa, that participated. And so that was kind of a great opportunity for them.
So like you said, Margaret, maybe this will kind of, you know, allow some of them maybe to reconsider a little bit of maybe renewing their membership or seeing ways that we're still active and still doing, you know, virtual meetings. So
I did send out I went to what was on the AAFCS website for previous members. I did, those that had emails, I sent it to them also. And I did get a few returns, but I think it was because students, they had an Iowa State email address and they're no longer on campus. So anyway. I don't know, maybe we can reach out to, I just see Laura's note. She doesn't know who Rachel is. Maybe we need to do a little bit more.
If you want to reach out to the former Iowa State students, you can probably search them.
Okay,
Start by Facebook to make sure they haven't changed their names, but
Yeah.
I can tell you all of them became teachers, so they're
they're out there.
Great.
available
Great.
web addresses. Normally, that's something we try to do, but you know, things being what they are, that's not one of our top priorities right now.
Right. Okay.
Well, we had Landon on, so that was
Yeah.
good to have Landon.
Mhm. Yeah, and he did, he looked at the website that had the extra, you're supposed to stop and take a breather once in a while. He gave a little report of the things that he had to
Right.
do.
It was a new app that
Yeah, new app.
Mary talked about, an app to give you exercises in between if you're at the computer, to every half hour make you stop it. And of course, he got on and found the app right away. And so he actually did a couple of the exercises. So that was kind of neat that he did that. And several of the people made the scones recipe. That was kind of neat that they did make the scones recipe and that.
Okay. Yeah, I can check with Danette. Laura, thank you. That would be good. Or maybe Margaret, maybe you can help me out with that.
Okay.
Okay. So anything else on membership for now? Okay. Thank you for putting the high tea together. It was very good. And I was one of the ones that made the scones. They were good. I enjoyed them, and they weren't too difficult to make, except for I didn't follow all the home ec rules, you know, having all your ingredients out at once and reading the recipe ahead of time because I was trying to hurry, but we ate them anyway. They were very good. Thank you, Margaret. And Kayla put the recipe out actually in the newsletter. So, okay, Cindy is not available tonight, but what I wanted to do was to remind everybody of the awards. They'll be due in January, so I know that's quite a ways off, but I want to keep it out there so that if you think of somebody who should deserve an award, let's go ahead and get their names submitted. And then Kayla's not here. She did the last newsletter. It was just a little bit later than what we intended it to be, but I kind of got behind, and so I held it up just a little bit for writing my article. We'll see what, I'm not sure what she has planned for the next newsletter. I haven't heard, so hopefully we'll figure something out. She took a picture of the high tea, I believe. So hopefully
With our cups. Yeah, with our holding our cups up. I thought that was kind of nice.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing, oh, and I did want to call attention. She did put in the newsletter the website. We're now on AAFCS website, and we have a place to put our information. And just dawned on me, I'm not sure I sent her my information, so I'm negligent. I will have to get that done. Had anybody else sent their information to Kayla? Maybe
Are
we
you
all.
talking about the picture and this?
Yeah, the
little?
picture.
Okay.
the
I
short
did
bio.
not, and thank goodness that I, listened to that recording. So that is on my to-do list this week
Okay.
as well. So
Okay.
It's on
So,
my to-do list too.
yeah, all right. Well, we'll
I-
have a good to-do list here.
I sent mine in.
Thank you, Barbara. You're on top of it all. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, Laura, do you want to have say a little bit about what's going on besides work?
I mean, not much. We tried to push the high tea, but we had 4 people in attendance. Club continues to have a pretty decent attendance at about 15 to 20 members. Other than just survival, I'm not sure what else to report on.
Yeah. So that's you're very, very busy, I know. And so thank you for everything you're doing.
It's just, it's fine. It's just, so like, it's just a lot of variables, as anyone can tell you. So at any time you have to have in-person and online, but then you have to have recordings, and just with the numbers increasing again, having more students test for coronavirus and need to quarantine and things like that. So it's just a lot of variables.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you to all the teachers who are doing this. I know this would be, I'm not sure how I would handle it if I was back in the classroom. So you folks are brave and courageous and hardworking, and I really do appreciate that because you are impacting lives. Emily and Emily, Laura, was there anything else you wanted to say? Okay, Emily and Emily.
Yeah, so our last meeting, we had two student teachers that are student teaching right now. And then Landon came back for our internship because we don't currently have someone completing an internship right now, but they spoke to the club just kind of about how things are going and how things have changed. And so that was really good. And then, like we mentioned, we had officer elections. So we've got a new group of officers for club, and a lot of them are new members. So that's exciting too, to get some newer people involved. As we already introduced Gabby here as the new president, and hopefully you'll meet Noel soon. And let's see, we did 4 of us, Laura said, all went to the workshop, and so it was me, Emily, Noel, and then one other member. Her name is Beth. But so it was really good. Laura did a great job putting it all together. I didn't expect all of that. So we had tea and scones too where we were. So it was really fun. And I think that went well. Yeah. We have one more meeting, and we're going to have a financial advisor. She's actually works here on campus. She teaches in the financial counseling and planning, and she's their advisor too. Come and speak to the club, because that's not an area we hear a lot about anymore. Or I mean, recently we haven't heard a lot about them. So they're going to come speak, and I think we're just going to kind of wrap the year up with that. So
yeah.
Is it Carolyn? Is Carolyn coming?
Yes,
or
Carolyn Steckelberg. Yep.
Yay.
And that always makes me sad when you say that, Emily, that, we don't hear a lot about it. And as you are all well aware, that they took the financial literacy out of family and consumer science and put it into the social studies standards. So yeah, anytime we can plug it into the rest of our classes and we can have people come and speak about it, that's really important.
What do you mean by that? They took it out?
Yeah.
So with the financial literacy standards, that has now been put into the social studies curriculum.
Okay, yeah.
So for financial literacy is required by the state. Now it's required to be taught, but it is required to be taught from the social studies department.
Tia, I think whoever has told you that, is it incorrect? So,
well, I still teach some of it, but.
Right. So the financial literacy is required, can be taught by social studies, math, FCS, or actually ag got added in. So that's an interesting one, but
is business in there too? Yeah.
Yep. Any of those 5 can teach it, but it only counts as CTE credit if ag FCS or business teaches it. So for most places, there's actually incentive to have one of your CTE teachers do it.
Right.
It's not out of our standard. It's not in theirs. I mean, it's in theirs in the core, but we don't have an Iowa core standard. The core standards are set nationally.
Maybe that was the confusion. So the
Well,
school districts got to decide
Yes.
where it was taught. Maybe
Yes.
I should rewind a little bit. It's been
Yes.
taken away from the family and consumer science teachers and put into social studies.
Yeah. So,
So
you
I
know,
guess-
next time it comes up in conversation,
Yeah.
I want to just mention if it was put back in FCS, then they'd get the CTE credit too, instead of
Right.
just getting the financial literacy.
And I had that conversation
Yeah.
again with, yeah. I'm
No,
not on the-
administrators are hopeless. Is my
Yeah, they're not doing and what's interesting about it is as I talk to my students, whom I see for other high school required classes,
Mhm.
I ask them, I have conversations with them, you know, how much are they getting and where are they getting it at? And it's very depressing to say the least as to how much they are receiving and where they are receiving it. Because we still have in FCS, we still have required courses that the students have to have in order to graduate in our CTE classes. So, you know, financial literacy and family planning and it just all goes so well together, that interdisciplinary. But yeah, so I nor Mrs. Wynn no longer teach a standalone personal finance class. It's all basically integrated within all of our other curriculum. So,
And I've talked to some social studies teachers that they really do not even want to touch that. I mean, they don't want to do it, but they're forced to do it. So I don't know. I mean, they're like, well, I don't know anything about finances, but so I don't know. It's too bad that
Well, those on here who used to do dissertation and doctoral study, take some of that research skills and start looking up facts and coming up with a flyer on why FCS is a better touch point for financial
better
literacy.
fit, right? Exactly.
An example I can give in another content area is when there was a study in Sweden comparing nutrition taught in health class versus an FCS class. And if you're in an FCS class, you're more likely to cook the food, which more likely results in lifestyle change. And I think that's the element that FCS brings to everything. It's not the fact of how to do it. It's the psychological and behavioral knowledge of why change occurs. Because, I mean, I can count calories all I want, but that doesn't keep me from eating candy.
Right.
The other thing, just for those social studies teachers who don't know what to do with it, or any others, we have a class for that. Extension has a class for that. It's called Small Steps, and it relates to building financial security, and teachers get a very low cost continuing licensure credit. So it's a good deal. It's done online now.
And the frustration with this, Laura, was we didn't really even at our district level, we really didn't even get a say in what was happening. And very, very frustrating that we didn't. It was pretty much just boom, this is what we're going to do, because, you know, and I personally think it was because we had a few social studies teachers that had low numbers. So in order for them to pretty much pad their classes, so to speak, and, you know, I'm only being like, I'm kind of spiteful when it comes to that, because anytime they try to take things away from us that, you know, I'm just going to stop there because I can get
You're
very
fine.
spiteful. So
No,
anyway, it's just one of those situations that, again, you know, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. But they had to pad a number somewhere. So that's where they put it. So.
And Tia is you know, that computer program, I can't remember the name of it, but Iowa spent a bunch of money on that computer program to teach finances.
Everfi?
What is it?
Everfi?
Yeah, I think so. Is it
Yeah,
still?
I use that. So in my real living class, I actually use it with all of my students. So I have a required graduation credit that they have to take for real living, and I do the EverFi along with some other. It's not meant to be a standalone curriculum. It's meant to be
So
to go along with
can
it.
some of the schools use that as
Any school can use it because
as a
any school.
standalone?
But
Because
Margaret,
I guess
You
I've not
could use
heard-
it. You could use it as a standalone, but
Yeah,
truly, it's not enough.
Margaret,
yeah, that's
there's
what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah,
something
it's-
else that Iowa had invested a bunch of money in called something about Your Plan Iowa or something. And that went away a few years ago. So I don't know if that's what you were thinking of or not, but that
I have a plan. Is that what you're thinking? I have a plan.
That's it. I have a plan. And that, as I understand, was pretty good and disappeared. So
Mhm.
anyway.
Laura's saying that EverFi is free now.
Yeah, this credit unions and we used to have to find our own funding for it. Probably, I think it's the last 2 years it's been free. Prior to that, we used to have to like contact our local banks and credit unions, and then they would support it financially. But I think it's either we're going into the second year or maybe we're going into the third year of it being free for the state of Iowa. So,
All right.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Emily, was there anything else that you wanted to add to your discussion or presentation there?
Not that I can think of, unless
Okay.
anyone has any questions for us.
Thank you for being active members. We really, really do appreciate your participation. And you went to the national conference, which was good. We really appreciate that. And good luck with student teaching. Keep us in touch with what's going on. And I wish you the best. Thank you for all that you've done. So,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you. And then welcome to Gabby. So we'll keep tabs on everybody here. So, okay. Under old business, I just wanted to mention again, Lisa Tapper was one of the 2020 merit finalists for National Teacher of the Year. And I think we do need to recognize that she, has been a very active member in the past and was vice president of professional development for several years. And I think it's held other offices throughout the years. So if you see her, tell her congratulations. That's an achievement to make. Then Pamela, do you have anything on the audit?
I do.
Great. Go ahead.
Barb sent a packet of all of her treasured information and it arrived safely. And we had visited that I would not be able to meet with Joe and Sally due to COVID of traveling to Cedar Rapids to meet them. And I went ahead and asked Barb if she would be okay if I would ask a couple students locally, well, actually people locally. And what I ended up doing was to check with our business teacher and ask if he had any exceptional accounting students. And he gave me the names of several students. And from that list, I selected 2 students. And last week, Thursday, we were together after school and they did the entire audit and they did a fine job and they did find some things. And so I visited with Barb since then and she has clarified their questions. And I did create a document that they have signed and I will be sending that document and including it to Barb in the packet of information. But just to acknowledge that they went and did the audit and that everything checked out fine. So that was good.
What
news.
a wonderful real world experience for
Yeah.
our students to have. That's what we like to see.
And when Pamela called me over the weekend with what questions they had, I was impressed. I mean, they noticed, they did a good job. They noticed things that there was no explanation in what I had given them. There wasn't a, and the explanation was elsewhere, but they couldn't figure out where was that stuff, and that's because I hadn't given it to them. And you know, they were all answerable questions, but they were astute. And so I told Pamela she should compliment the students.
And I will just say too that our school requires our students to do 10 hours of Christian service per year. And I was able then to get permission through our Christian service committee that they then received 2 hours of Christian service for this project. And so that was pretty cool too. But they really enjoyed it. And when they finished, they both said, wow, we can't believe we feel so professional. So it was kind of fun to hear their comments as they went along. So I'll be mailing that to Barb this week sometime.
Okay. Thank you
Thanks,
very much
Pamela.
for doing this, Pamela, and having the students help do this. It's very good.
So as Barb, though, we did talk this weekend. I probably should have clarified or should have gotten permission from the board. As Barb said, I didn't really get any permission except from Barb of okaying that the 2 students did that this year. So for that, I do apologize, but Barb did know what was going on behind the scenes.
Okay. Okay. All right. While we're talking about Barb, we didn't do your treasurer's report, so I'm going to insert you back into the agenda. It's not necessarily old business, but since we were talking about finances.
You might as well do it while we're on the subject.
Yes.
So I will do a couple things first, and then I'll see if you have any questions about the reports I sent.
Okay.
And I would say, Gabby, you probably did not get the reports I sent, because, yeah. So first thing, I got our taxes sent in. I actually finished them in the end of September, but I didn't get them sent till the end of October. And it's okay, because they're not due until December 1st, but they're in and done, and we have to send a copy to the secretary or to the attorney general as well in Iowa, and I did that. Secondly, the last time we renewed the CD, I worked to get a better interest rate, and it was a good interest rate. It was 2.6%, something like that. More rounding than that, but at any rate, that was an 18-month CD, which was a little awkward because normally, a year had fit our schedule pretty well, but it was worth it. And the 18-month CD came due October 21st and automatically renewed. And there was a notice posted, and I should have known, I should have marked my calendar. There was a notice posted in our account, but if I hadn't logged in, then I wouldn't have seen it. Anyway, there was a 10-day grace period on that. And that 10-day grace period would have ended on Saturday, the 31st. And so I was able to call today because it renewed to another 18-month CD that was, I think, 0.57%. Big drop. And the person I talked to today, and interest rates aren't what they were 18 months ago. The person I talked to today said the best option was a 12-month CD, which she first quoted at 0.95%, but then she said, oh, we're under 100,000. So it's 0.84%. So we will see a substantial reduction in interest income this year compared to the prior year. And we can hope for better interest down the road, but at least it's, they were accommodating and letting me adjust for that oversight in not getting it changed on time. So that is the one other update I have. And then the other question is if anyone had any questions about the reports. The checkbook register just shows all activity for the fiscal year to date. And then the year to date report, the first page has, income. And we've received one dues payment so far this year. We get them quarterly. We've had a very small amount of expenses as well. And then the expenses from special funds are a little more The graduate student scholarship, we paid the first installment of that. Now I'm on page 2. We paid for the 2 students to go to national, which was so inexpensive when it was virtual. And we paid for Suzanne's trip to the fall leadership, not trip, her ability to sit in front of a screen for the fall leadership conference. And the one thing there is that that $50 transfer, that money is supposed to come out of the Liston account, and that has not yet been transferred from the Liston account. So the Liston account will have a $50 reduction when I make that transfer. The Hupenbecker, I did transfer the funds for the students' registration fees. I did transfer the $50 from Hupenbecker into the operating account. So beyond that, you see that our net worth, this is unusual. Our grand total of total account balances actually went up from July 1 till now. And that's a first. I mean, that's a first, I think, since I've been treasurer this time around. So any questions on any of the activity? There's so little activity, there's not likely to be much question.
We didn't
Includes my
have any expense for the fall meeting and no registration, so not much activity as you just indicated.
Do we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Thank you, Barbara.
I move the acceptance of the treasurer's report.
Okay, and it's been a move to accept the treasurer's report. Is there a second to the motion? Excuse me.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to accept the treasurer's report. All those in favor say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. The treasurer's report has been accepted, and we will go back into the old business. I was going to have Margaret talk a little bit more about the meeting, but you already indicated what you wanted to say about the meeting that we had last week. Again, thank you very much for putting that together. Really do appreciate that. I think it was good. The other thing I wanted to mention about, and I neglected to do this last meeting, I put it off and then I set my paper aside and I forgot to go back to my paper. This is the scholarship that Jeanette helped, received information from students, and then she and I talked about it a little bit, and I think I talked with Cindy Waters a little bit about, excuse me, and we decided on Mary Davis, and she's a AAFCS graduate student, the recipient for our award this year. Again, I wanted to give you information last meeting and I neglected to do that. Danette sent me a little bit of note about her. She's from Mount Vernon, Iowa, and her major is dietetics and exercise science. Her family composed of her parents and 2 older siblings. Both are married with kids. The activities that she's had this fall, she said she was currently working in the research lab for the university honors project studying the effects of whole egg in the diet on the development of a prefrontal cortex, specifically RNA in rats. And she's also a member of the Iowa State women's track team and field team, doing the 800 meter runs. She's led a Bible study on her team, and she's also a co-leader of Iowa State FCA, which is the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And she works part-time as a customer service salesperson at Ames Racket and Fitness Center. She loves to cook and read and be active outdoors. Her career goals were she was working towards becoming collegiate coach for strength conditioning and track and field. I would also like to work in some aspect of other epigenetic research, or functional medicine, preventative lifestyle, food as medicine. So this last summer, she'd worked in the research lab, volunteered at first for the first time, and she was hoping to work it back into her regular schedule. Last spring, she wrote for the Iowa State student-run publication, Cardinal Eats. She's been a strength and conditioning intern at 3 different universities. Her freshman year, it was Iowa State, and then at Northwest Missouri State, and then also sometime during her sophomore year with Iowa State football, and then to North Dakota State between her sophomore and junior years. Let's see. Being a student athlete here at Iowa State was also a consideration for her work experience as far as developing time management skills and learning to organize priorities and practice patience in pursuit of her goals. So that was a little bit of background about her. And then I did get a letter from Laura Jolly, as the Dean and Dean Chair of the College of Human Sciences. It was addressed to me, but it says, on behalf of the College of Human Sciences, thank you for your continued support of our scholarship program. Scholarships play such an important role in assisting students as they pursue their educational endeavors. Your support is truly appreciated by our scholarship recipients and family members. We are pleased to share the enclosed student thank you letter with you. Our students greatly benefit from your generosity and encouragement. During the 2021 academic year, more than 620 undergraduate and graduate students will receive a scholarship. The need for scholarships is great, with over 1,300 students completing the College of Human Sciences scholarship application. Your generous contribution is making a difference in access and affordability for our students. Due to the COVID concerns, the annual College of Human Sciences scholarship reception and program will be postponed until fall of 2021. However, we invite you to meet your scholarship recipient in a virtual format. And I would contact with her to set up a virtual meeting, and maybe we can have her come to one of our board meetings. So I'll talk to Nanette about that. And again, Laura Jolly said, thank you again for helping our students expand their potential. And then here's the thank you note from Mary Davis. I want to thank you and the Iowa affiliate of the American Association of Family and Consumer Sciences for the opportunity to apply for the Graduate Student Scholarship. I'm honored to have received this award, and I'm so grateful for the part it will play in helping my family continue to financially support my college education. I'm going into my first fall semester as graduate student in dietetics and exercise science. Concurrent BS and MS program here at Iowa State. This program is a unique opportunity offered at Iowa State, and I believe one that makes a lot of sense, as our diet and movement habits are an important aspect of our lifestyles, not only for our health, but for the health of our children and the generations to come. With the current virus situation, there seems more apparent than ever, and I hope to someday make an impact on the relationship we develop with our food, as it is powerful preventative medicine. I'm also working toward a position in collegiate coaching. Several coaches in my life have been incredible mentors, and I hope to pay that forward by setting an example for student athletes to develop their character and an attitude of servant-hearted leadership in whatever they do. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity you and the AAFCS offer, the Iowa affiliate offer in this graduate student scholarship. Financial security is one of, if not the most, game-changing factor in pursuing a college education. Scholarships like these go a long way in providing students like myself the chance to pursue our college adventure with added freedom. I hope you're enjoying the last weeks of the summer and staying well. Sincerely, Mary Davis. So I did need to share all this with you, and I apologize I didn't get it shared last meeting. Again, I set it aside and we closed the meeting in a hurry. So new business, Barbara, you were going to check on the dine-in day. We were talking about maybe doing another virtual possibility.
Before you go to that, I was looking at the chat and I see Laura's question. My suggestion to that question would be is that we might put together, or we should send something to her as a suggestion, that as her scholarship awardee, encourage her to look at opportunities to promote family and consumer sciences, and you could give her some pointers about what are some specific things in her line of work or in her field of study, how she can relate what FCS as a whole brings to the well-being and all of others. And so all this, so that she understands it's more than dietetics and
Yeah.
nutrition.
Yes.
By sending her a
You know what,
pack.
guys, ladies, I will just not be obtuse with it then. And I don't mean to be obtuse. This one, and I hate expressing this because I know it makes me seem selfish. But I'm supposed to promote membership for this organization among my students. We ask our students to be on this board, and our students are denied grad credit. There's no graduate credit available to FCS educators. And then I do feel like we're being double punished because our own professional organization, because we're denied grad credit, gives to grads outside of us. So that I don't think we need to discuss it extensively today. I just need to express my feelings on that subject.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry, I know that's uncomfortable. I just,
No, I'm not,
I
I'm just
need to
trying to
say.
think how to,
I don't think anything needs to be changed now. It just might be something to consider.
mhm. Do we need to go back to Laura Jolly and stress
You guys are
concerns?
the people in, oh, wait, sorry, do you need to go back to,
I mean, do we need to have a conversation with Laura Jolly about the graduate, having a graduate program back?
yes, that would be super helpful, actually, because there's another, so in the shortage of FCS teachers, some schools are reaching out, and Tia and Pamela can talk to this as well, but in shortage of FCS teachers, and I'm dealing with about 15 to 20 of them right now, but if you're licensed in a different area, you can take the coursework to become licensed in FCS and add an FCS endorsement. But if you're teaching, the only way that you can advance on the salary schedule is if that's for graduate credit. And so people being asked to add an FCS endorsement are kind of double whammied by being forced to pay undergraduate tuition that doesn't advance them on the salary schedule at all. But if they didn't do this, programs would close. And so we're indebted to them. But yeah, we need graduate options for FCS classes, and not through just the GP idea option, because that doesn't really, we're not the ones offering those credits, and it doesn't really count towards our program. So yes, if you could do that advocacy, I would love that. That would be very helpful for me.
Laura, okay, so could you explain something to me about that? So I have kind of two questions that probably relate, but I'm not sure. So why don't we have grad credit? And then the family and consumer sciences, there technically is a family and consumer sciences master's program, but I wouldn't call it a family and consumer sciences master's program. So I was just curious,
Yeah, so this is good awareness for everyone else, because when you advocate with Dean Jolly, this would be helpful too. There is a Master's of Family and Consumer Sciences that has no family and consumer sciences educator involved. It's all run by HDFS faculty. Yeah, and there is no option for, and I know my piece is very much FCS education, but right now, to me, FCS education is the only one holding the comprehensive together. And that's just my opinion about it. But there's all the various fields now have their own professional organizations. So it's really the educators holding the comprehensive piece together. Why we can't offer grad classes is, I don't know. Barbara, do you know?
Because you don't have anybody hired in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies who has grad.
Yes, because I am not able to offer it. You're correct.
And so I said, because I know it's not a promotion, so I got authorized by the graduate college. So I serve on committees when we have someone in FCS Ed getting a master's degree.
But I think you finished up your last one with Sherry. I think she was the last one outstanding.
Yes. But I've got a couple, depending on life, maybe 2 years on this deal that I can still serve. So if we had someone who came in, then I would sit with whomever his or her committee might be, so that there would always be family and consumer sciences education as part of approaching a question that you might be on.
Yeah, so my own grad college tells me that it's not something they're interested in offering and doing.
So Laura, so what do you need to do? Like, what do you need to have that you don't have to offer those classes?
Yeah, you got to have faculty on staff in the specialty.
I didn't hear you, Barbara. What did you say?
You have to have people on faculty with the specialty of, in this case, family and consumer sciences education would be part of what he or she needed in their portfolio to sit at the graduate level. I happen to.
So Laura doesn't have that?
I don't have a doctorate and I'm only term faculty, and they're only going to, they're telling me they will never make this position tenured faculty.
Oh, so you can get that tenure faculty without having your doctorate too?
Nope. You need a
have to have your
doctorate to be tenured faculty, but
there's no point in you getting it
disincentivized
because
from
you're
earning my doctorate because they tell me that they never want to offer FCS education as a tenured.
Oh, and so do they have any reasoning behind that they give you, or they just no?
It's cheap.
Okay. I was just curious, because I would agree with Laura, because I've talked to her about it. Like, I'm very interested in getting my master's down the road and either having that while I'm teaching high school or doing a position like Laura, but like, I'm not going to come to Iowa State because I can't really get it at Iowa State. So I'm either probably going to do that online one or have to look somewhere else. So yes, if you would all talk to them, that would
Push
be
for that. That would be helpful.
Iowa State, but
Well, and if I remember right, I think I remember when they kind of dropped it, it was because there just Iowa State wasn't graduating FCS teachers, education teachers. They had so few, but now.
Okay, so Margaret, this is actually something I'd like to talk about. How few was that? So I actually, we've been digging around in the archives because I think there's just this loss of information from the 80s to now. And the last really good piece of information was a profile. No, it's Margaret Torrey who was on that report. I'm sorry. Sorry, that was a mix up on my part. But the last good piece of information I could find was there was a report filed in 1993, and given the, like it had cooperative in the name, and it was a report you're supposed to file every 10 years. And I don't get why there's not one that was done in 2005-ish or 3-ish. And at that time, there were 6.5 tenured FCS education faculty, and they had 35 students. And I agree that there's not a lot of the time, but now we're up to like, I don't, Lisa had the program up to 90 students, and we're still being told that it's not enough. It's very frustrating because financial counseling and planning has less students than that, and they have more faculty and more grad faculty.
Well, since Barbara has been around probably longer than any of you in the college, I would say it has to do with people's bias against family and consumer sciences.
Okay.
Let me just be honest about it.
Yeah, no, please do, because I'm going mad.
It's basically a bias. And
because we're just a female-dominated profession?
Because I don't know, this female dominant, it is what it is. It is what the profession is about. So people don't value, this is Barbara's interpretation. We don't value family and home and community in how it is integrated when you talk being holistic in terms of what we think, at least what I think of about what we now know as family and consumer sciences.
Right.
And so there's this idea everybody wants to pursue this, but I would argue, if I were training to be a physician, which I had wanted to do, family and consumer science was the best background I could have gotten to go into the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I understood something about human beings, nutrition, health. No, I wasn't an expert at any of it, but as a foundation, it is a fabulous foundation for a number of things. But for whatever bias we have in our heads, and it could be female oriented, it is not valued.
Yeah.
And we were in a situation at the time where who we had as dean and who we had as some chairs of department, I think worked against.
Well, and it's hard to recover anything once it's lost, for sure.
It is.
But no, that helps me a lot because I'm
But I would
getting
argue
frustrated.
Again, I've been around a long time. I see no reason why, if with the number of teachers and the opportunities in Iowa, why Iowa State will not, the dean in particular, and the chair of HDSF would not work to rebuild that.
Yes. So any advocacy that anyone can do towards that would be super, super wonderful. We would love greatly. Yes. So thank you. I know that that was frustrating on my part, but I feel like.
And especially when the college
productive
talks about well-being. When we
I'm sorry, Barbara, what'd you say?
I said when the college talks about family well-being, then a more holistic approach is what you need. You can't do it as individualistic parts. You have to talk across the board and help a person learn in the context of how you live. But anyway, that's just my soapbox.
Well, it's a wonderful soapbox.
Right. I think that's great. You know,
Thank you, Barbara.
I would not.
Thank you.
I would not have gotten my master's probably. And I went straight through. I graduated and I was able to get an assistantship at Iowa State and got my master's, you know, which right after I graduated. And we had, but that was back years and years ago. But the thing is, I thought last year, didn't we talk about maybe not even giving a graduate, if we don't have graduate students, why are we giving a scholarship? Why don't we give it to our students that are on the, you know, coming to our meetings and are helping undergraduates?
Are there rules about the scholarship? I need to go back and look at the information that Lois gave me.
I think we would have to look at, it might take legal action, but I think, you know, it might be something that could be, I believe that the royalties and the funds that created that fund were designated for a scholarship. And I would think there might be a way legally to get through this.
Barbara, which other scholarship is that from?
That is not the Human Becker. That is, I'm pretty sure it's the royalties from the book.
Is it through the foundation? Does it go through ISU Foundation?
No.
Then if we have something in the archive to speak to how it was set up, then you can go, then I can argue you're legal and you ask for a definition based on change.
You'd have to go hunting pretty far. I'm not sure how far back.
Okay. No, because I'm just thinking that's the way we've done one in another area that was related to home economics or family consumer sciences, where there was a memorandum of agreement. We went to a legal service in order to revamp it. Life has changed in what's happening. You know what I mean? So you can't fulfill the donor's wish. And that's how we did the other one, is to work through attorney to go back to the donor family or whatever.
Yeah, that I kind of think that you know, we would be able to put together a justification for that. We would just have to find the original. There'd be work and then cost with an attorney.
Right.
So,
and if it is a legal thing, I totally understand that. My frustration was out of a point of not understanding. So I appreciate you letting me have space for that, but I also appreciate the action steps of like, yes, advocating for a grad program.
But in theory, if there's anything written into what we have as the explanation of what the scholarship is for, if the word home economics is in there, in theory, you have justification for not awarding it. Because if the receiver isn't in family and consumer sciences, it didn't say the College of Human Sciences. Depending on what it said, I would argue you got to look at the document.
Yeah,
we'd have to go back to the original document because it's been modified, and the current guidelines say that they have to be a student in any of the departments that were part of the College of Family and Consumer Sciences before the merger with education. So then we've got the list of departments.
Right.
And so they've been reworked to be compatible. But if we went back to the original, that might do it.
Okay, so it looks like we need to do some looking and see what we can come up with. That might be on the information that Lois gave me, and I haven't looked at absolutely everything in there, so.
A lot of stuff. Nobody blames you.
No, but I feel kind of bad because I've been, very active at times in this organization, and you hear things, but some of the things it's been a while since I've heard it. And then what I need to be doing as a responsible person or member of the board or president is to look up and find out what the whole story is behind everything. And I will be more diligent here to
just, be gentle about your expectations there.
And I understand that.
Nobody knows the whole story about it.
Yes. Yes.
And I would say before you go hunting through what Lois gave you, ask her first.
Yeah.
Because you could spend hours and days hunting for something that's not even, and it may be in the archives. I mean, it may be at the university archives.
Yeah. So Barbara, Barb, and Laura, will be doing something to look for this. I may need some help at some point too. But there were some things on the US, the external, what do you call it? Those little things, the little jump drives.
Yes,
And I think she had them labeled pretty well. And I've been looking through them to kind of get a gist of what was in there. And I know there's something about scholarship, or I think there was something. I shouldn't say I know for sure, but I'll go back and look and see what there is, if there's a history there. So we need to get it out in the forefront so all of us know what's going on. So, right. Let's see. And I don't, not necessarily wanting to cut off the conversation. Is there anything else we need to, we're good for now? Okay. Barbara, the dine-in day, did you find some information?
Well, National has posted the information that's all there.
Okay.
Barbara would say, I don't know that it's very personal to me, because one of the comments I heard last time had to do with the pandemic, the ability to come together is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was reading through the material and stuff that's there, I was thinking, really trying to see whether or not we could, for our memberships and for our teachers, can we get each of them to agree to do some tweeting, to do some Facebook posts that go to people that they know to encourage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we may have to do some work on putting together some particular ones that could go out with hashtags and all, and send them out like every week or something saying, members, please, and teachers, please post these to these places over this week. Excuse me, over this week. And so we could, I'm making it up and saying, if we could start doing something like the middle of November and get it something, people posting things every week about, even if it's only a reminder, the importance of dining together. We may be able to craft some little wording and then have the logo that could be used with it. And every week, get all of us, as many of us as possible, to tweet that out. Mm-hmm. And I would suggest that our student members section could be fantastic at that because they can get their classmates, and Miss Laura could get her students to use this as, you can give them 2 points of credit from me for how many times do they do it over the course of every week for some number of weeks, so that we could get starting again about the week before Thanksgiving and have something happen every week in some form of social media.
I have an admission to make. I thought that where we left this off last time is that if we were doing something virtual, we wouldn't be with our families. And I thought we were choosing not to do something.
No. The idea is not to do something virtually so people have to be away from families. The idea is to put it on people's plates to say, when you're gathering family and have meals together, just as those snippets to say, you can have time with your family on dining
Yeah,
Hey.
why don't we, Emily, Gabby, remind me to ask the new social media person.
Yeah, I believe
So-
that's
Okay.
Jamie,
So
sorry.
the question, so since you've opened up the doors, so if the students, if you have somebody on social media who could craft those, because there's a section of the national website where you can grab down images and stuff, and they've got some hashtag words, and they've got some information, and the question, could we craft it? You know, I'm making it up and saying, let's make Iowa family friendly on dining for dinner, dining, whatever, dining on December 3rd. So we could make it personal to Iowa. So that would be my suggestion, which would not take people away from their homes. It would be trying to put the message in front of them.
Mhm. Okay.
So that was my thought about how to do it without taking people away from families, trying to get them together as families.
Mhm.
Of all years, to remind people, to help people see the great treat it is to be dining with their families. Some families may be pretty tired. Like other years, they never see their families, but now they may be tired of it. But it's a gift, and you know, if we can sell it that way, or just remind them, it's a way to celebrate family.
Mhm.
So that was my approach to thinking about it, and I didn't call anybody and ask anybody. And my other suggestion along, if we can get that, if we could capture some of those images that go out, we could certainly send that in from Iowa chapter and explain it in the context of bringing families together
Mhm.
and using social media to encourage the action, not separate people. That's kind of the approach I would think about.
All right.
So Emily and Gabby, if you have a social media person and you want to work on it, I'm in 109 McKay, and I'm thinking that we really need to get something, if we're going to do it, out so that they can start. I don't have my calendar with me, at least the week before Thanksgiving, and run it every few days over that period of time. And maybe the Sunday before December 3rd, maybe do something a little flashy. I don't know, making it up.
Yeah, we will be having, well, actually probably pretty soon. I'm gonna see, Gabby doesn't know this because I'm a little last minute, but I'm gonna see if the new officers want to come to the officer meeting we're going to have tomorrow and make that our transition meeting. Otherwise, we'll plan a different time to do that. But we're gonna have a transition meeting soon. So we will be able to talk to the new social media person about that. About working on that and see what they think. I'm picturing maybe some sort of like creating kind of like a challenge to incentivize posting things.
Good.
So we'll
Just
talk to them.
Emily. If people like tweet with the pictures or picture and tweet with like your hashtag or something, they get like incentivized somehow, like get put in a drawing for something fun or something. But yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
Mhm.
You might also want to include Kayla, because she
Yes,
could
that
put
would
something
be
out
great.
on the Iowa page under a AAFCS.
Yes, yeah, Kayla would be perfect to include in that. I will make sure that we include her with that, whether it's an email or something. I'll get in touch with her.
Okay.
And if Barbara, if you have any ideas or anyone else that you want to make sure like somehow gets put in there, yeah, feel free to email Gabby or I, and we'll get it to the right spot. So.
Speaking of Gabby, what's your email address, Gabby?
It's just G Terrell, all one word, and Terrell is TERRILL at iastate.edu.
Thank you.
Now, I didn't mean to push my idea, but I said I'd go out looking and think about it. So that's what happened. That's what happened when I went out looking and thought about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, it's good. It's good. We need to push family as much as we can, but family is defined in many different ways. So,
If Emily L., you might also check to see whether or not the Daily will allow us to run something free in there about promoting to students dining on December 3rd as individuals.
Yeah.
Just something in the Daily, like a piece of the Daily, because you got a whole bunch of students. Again, what we're trying to do in my head is get the message out.
Yes. Yes, and so I also know when we didn't realize that we were still going forward with Dine and stuff. I know we talked about with Laura about doing kind of a mini celebration for Ellen Swallow Richard's birthday.
Mhm.
But I think that will be virtual too. And I think both could work together. So that would just involve some maybe FCS students, but yes.
Yeah, we're using it as a recruitment.
Yes. But I would think, I mean, dine in days all day, so you could dine in one of the meals. And anyway, so yes, I can get in contact. We can get in contact with the deal. I will make myself a note not to forget.
So that's all I have, Suzanne.
Okay, well, that sounds good. We're still encouraging people to do something about the day. And that's really what we want to do. So thank you very much. Thank you, Emily, Gabby, Laura, Barbara, Kayla. So, okay. I just want to put the next item on the list, new business, is spring membership meeting. We need to start thinking about that now. We usually have that in April. So looking for ideas and also dates. I did put on the back of the agenda dates that I could see on the AAFCS website, events that they're coming up with. But I did include some springtime, I just said spring 2021 Iowa Affiliate Spring Workshop or meeting, whatever you would like to call it. So I think our assignment at this point is to, if somebody wants to be in charge of that, that would be great. If a couple people want to be in charge of that, to come up with an idea, or if some people have some suggestions right now, just to kind of toss them out. And then if somebody wants to pick them up and start working with that, that would be great. I know everybody's really swamped, so it's kind of trying to do things in the installment plan. If we start a little bit early, maybe it won't be all at the last minute. It's not fun to do things at the last minute, but that happens sometimes. So
I'm not sure how it would go over, but the Iowa State University Innovative Center is now open.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Question might be, are there opportunities around innovation, especially related to family and consumer sciences, that we could tap into who the new resources are in that center, in the Innovation Center?
Okay.
Whether or not there's some opportunity that would be of interest to people. But I don't know that. I'm just saying, I know it is now open and various kinds of things are going on in there. And I know they're having there have been a series of presentations about innovation from a number of perspectives. And it's been about 5 years or so ago since I think we had someone who came in from awesome apparel merchandise and whatever, who talked about some things around creativity, which spoke to innovation. But again, the big word now, at least on campus, is around innovation.
Okay. Okay, so that's a good suggestion.
Earlier before we started, Emily kind of were offering some assistance. Is that something that you guys would be interested in helping out with this type of event?
Yes. However, I know I will be student teaching at that point, and I don't know how much. So like we will either have to complete the PPAT or the praxis depending on COVID things. And I know that that's a lot of time consuming. And so I don't want to tell you that it'll be fine and then have myself be very overwhelmed. I did speak at the beginning of this meeting that we would be interested in, like, when student teaching's over and we're just kind of have our regular schedules again. Well, actually new regular schedules, but that we would be interested in doing that kind of the marketing / planning these events like Margaret has been doing. So we could be part of it, but maybe not all of it, just in case we get overwhelmed with student teaching, if that's okay.
Student teaching is super busy.
Yes. But yes, it is something we are interested in and would enjoy being a part of. So if we had some help, that would be good.
Yeah. That would be good. Oh, okay.
And we are guessing that likely in spring, we will still have to do something virtually, I'm guessing.
I believe so. Let's just plan on doing virtual. And you know, it doesn't have to be 4 or 5 hours, you know, hour and a half seems to kind of work. Something short, but yet let's get to the point. And we do have to have a business meeting, if I remember correctly. So that could be at the end, so that people that you know, don't want to go to the business meeting, I guess they could leave. But you know, is there something out there in the teaching world that we need to include also? You know,
Actually,
go ahead.
We were just talking about it, and if we can plan it ahead of time, we have December off and part of January, so we would probably be okay. I mean, if somebody wants to help, we welcome it. But
Okay.
If not, we'll probably be okay. And I
Loop
like
your new officers in.
what?
You can't loop your new officers in. You can't just
Yes, Gabby,
even though you are the Wonder Emily's, your
Well,
new officers are wonderful too.
Yes, we were. So Laura, what
They're
I
gonna
think what
be-
Pamela was asking about
Yes.
is at the beginning of this, we talked about like when we're teachers, we'd enjoy taking on a role like that,
Yeah.
like in the organization. And so I think that's where this is coming from.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you meant about organizing. Okay. Sorry.
But yes, if Gabby wants help or anybody I would love club to be involved too. But what I was going to further say is I like Barbara's idea of innovation and maybe getting someone to speak for like 5-ish minutes each from our different content areas about something new and interesting going on. Unless you would like to stick with more of a specific content. Like usually we focus on one specific content area. So
I would love a tour of the Innovation Center too, because due to COVID, even our students haven't been able to get in. So
No, we haven't.
that would be a good big draw. So if you guys could secure that, I think that would be a good thing to advertise.
And
Can that be?
you might want to check. You might want to check in with the communication unit in the College of Human Sciences. And there's some other people involved, but have they already captured these images because they knew we were in COVID? Have they already put together a presentation that's whatever that could be used as a way with someone being present to talk about it? Because I can't remember who the new director is. I don't remember who the person is. But it's a strange little building sitting in campus between other buildings, and it's glass. It's a little scary.
yes, I've walked in it. I've never had an official tour, but it's open to students. So I went in one day just to look at it. But
It'd be good to know what they have to offer for all of us, you know, even us who are away from campus. Is there something that we can benefit from and teachers benefit from? You know, I think you're on a good track.
And probably this is it again, if we look at something around innovation, the fact that we have had to flip so quick to a more virtual world is a question about innovation.
mm-hmm.
So just a suggestion.
Yeah. So would everyone be interested in doing more of like short bits of speakers about innovation from different content areas, or would we more be interested in like focusing on maybe something more specific, if that makes sense?
Part of my reaction to that question is sort of, it depends.
Okay.
If there's one content area that has something really cool to share, I'd rather get a little more depth and hear little snippets that weren't very meaningful, you know, that were just like nothing. Or, you know, maybe there's two, but maybe, I mean, it just kind of depends what's out there to choose from, you know, where the opportunities are. That's my personal reaction.
Emily, go back and look at probably, maybe I'll try to find it. There was a recent issue of, well, you probably didn't see it, Faculty and Staff Newsletter. There was a series of people doing presentations about innovation. I don't remember what they were, and I don't remember but some of them had to be related to the College of Human Sciences. Let me just leave it at that. So there may be some points there that might be helpful. Because there are researchers and faculty members who are part of those innovation teams.
Okay.
And
Is
but I
that
don't
something you can share with them, Barbara?
Yeah, I'll go back through my mail and find the one that that had a list of the series of people who would talk about different topics around innovation. None of them may work, but it'll at least give you a background for what whoever runs that put together to help people understand innovation.
Yes, and that would be good. Then I can maybe get in contact with the person who puts it together and maybe they have some suggestions. So.
Mhm.
All right, I will dig further in and we'll go with innovation and see what we can find.
And Tia has put in the chat that she will be willing to help also.
That is great. Thank you, Tia.
Okay, well, we're off to a good start. Yay,
you, Mike.
thank you very much.
You might also want to work with Margaret and Kayla.
Right.
Yes, they would be good. Yes, I will keep all of those people in mind because I'll need all the help probably.
Yeah. Margaret knows how to do the application for PDUs because she did that for the high T. So that would be good to get the PDUs if people need them. So, okay. Any other discussion about the potential spring meeting?
The only other comment I would make, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, if we use a theme of innovation, we really could craft a competition for innovative ideas and have people. Now, we've got, I don't know what money we have, but in theory, if we could offer like a prize for the most innovative, and you have to craft it right so that you don't get somebody just doing foolishness. But and you could do one that's for professionals and one for pre-professionals if you think it's worthwhile, as again encouraging innovation coming directly out of our membership.
I really like that idea. Do we have funding for that? Who do I speak to for that?
Barb Wallen.
And remember, it doesn't always have to be money. Unlike this, I get kind of tacky because it's who I am. Dean Jolly sits over at the College of Human Sciences. Am I correct? She's the chief officer.
Yeah.
I believe, I don't know, but we might be able to talk her into something that could be given. I don't know. She's the dean. The question is,
she's a member of our association.
We need you to support this profession. Would you offer up something as a winning prize? Winning prize.
In addition, we have money.
Okay.
And we have money that is not string tied, that is available if the board chooses to designate it. We have some money that most of our money is string tied, meaning it has stipulations, but we have a couple accounts that aren't. So
and we do have on that marketing committee, we have $100 there that I don't think we will spend this year probably. So that could be used for that.
Okay.
It's called Innovate. It's really Innovate. And there's some words that one could use to innovate in teaching, innovate in business. I mean, things to allow someone to have a creative idea.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Okay. So another question that came to mind is, I don't know that we would need it, but if we do, is this like supposed to be planned with no expenses, or is there a wiggle room? Is there like money set aside for conferences, or?
We usually charge a registration fee. But
and that's what pays for the conference then. Yes. But it's online, so probably.
Since it's virtual, we probably wouldn't have any expense.
Well, if there was moderate expense, the association could choose to charge a $5 or something small registration fee, or we could choose to just subsidize it from our budget.
Okay, I was just curious how that all worked, but we probably won't need it because it's online. So
yeah, well,
good question though.
Yeah, very good. Good. Okay. Let's see. I just put on the agenda, we kind of talked about this earlier, but I don't know if we want to pick up any other potential membership meeting plans for the rest of the year. If we do the spring meeting, if that would be enough, and the promoting of the dine-in day. Would that be enough for this year?
Yes,
Everybody's so busy. I'm concerned about biting off more than we can chew, and I don't want to do that. No pun intended here. The other thing, kind of along with that, we talked about the possibility of maybe having mentoring. And I don't know, Laura, if you've worked with students to have mentors, if we need to have some of
It's
our
been a-
members be mentors for your students, or
It's been a goal of mine. I have never gotten it put together, but I would like, it's an ambitious and a goal of mine. I'd like to partner my students with, so usually you get a building mentor, but they're not in your content area. So my ultimate goal is to send students off with a name of a local area mentor.
okay.
So if they wanted to get together occasionally, I mean, that's less important this year, I guess, because nobody's getting together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, I mean, would be my ideal. So if anyone would like to start thinking through that or how to manage that, that would be very helpful. Like, we would love something like that.
Yeah. I don't know if we should just look through the membership list and where they're located, or, if you have some suggestions.
you could send something out to membership in like a questionnaire. Like, we're looking for mentors. We don't know how many, we're making it up. If you are willing, what are the areas in which you would be willing to mentor? So what areas do you, and then that could go to Laura, and Laura could use that to see
Okay.
if she had students who were interested. And that way, it only works if people step forward to say they will mentor, and students step forward to say, I saw somebody in the list who I'd like. It's like having a directory of mentors.
Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, you don't even have to, I don't even think you have to ask, like, we could just ask for mentor volunteers. The location maybe doesn't factor into it until we get so many volunteers that we do start pairing them based on choice. So yeah, initially it could just be a call for, do you want to mentor a young FCS teacher? Because that's all I do have to. Well, no, I'll maybe have a couple. I'll have 3 after the spring professional study students. They could use a mentor too.
Okay. I'll put something together and I'll run it across.
Or it's not time sensitive, so
No, it's
I don't know
not.
when Kayla's next newsletter goes out, but it could just be a
Okay.
feature in that.
Yeah. All right, and then the next thing I have was the next meeting date. When I gave out the survey, it was just kind of all over the map. So let's see, if you have your calendars there, if you wouldn't mind looking at January. I think of course I buried my calendar too. There it is, right there. It's right on the top of the pile. I can't believe January 2021 is coming soon. I read something someplace that said, why did I buy a planner for 2020? Well, yeah, I guess that was a good point. So looking at January, staying away from the holidays, when does school start again?
The 25th.
The 25th, okay. Do we want to aim for the last week in January, and when the students will be back? Maybe January 27th?
What day is it on?
It's a Wednesday. Sorry, I should have said that.
From the standpoint of students and Laura, would it be better to do it before they're back?
Yeah, that's that next
I
question.
mean, I don't know.
I'm gonna put that one out to Gabby.
I think either way, I think the first week of classes, doing a meeting would not necessarily be terrible, because it is like it's syllabus week. So at least, especially in the beginning, like the Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, that would probably be better rather than like maybe a Thursday, Friday. I don't know what days you usually do meetings on, I guess, but But also the week before, I mean, I don't think that would be an issue for, like, for sure not for me, probably not for Noel either, to be in attendance to a meeting. But yeah, so I think either way.
I think what this last year we met was on a Wednesday, and I think it was like the third Wednesday of the month. So if we did it on the 20th, then that would kind of put us back on schedule with what we did last year.
January- January's so far away. I can't even conceive of it, guys.
Yeah.
So for Barb, as our treasurer, how does that work for you?
It's likely to be good. Actually, I already have, I'm teaching from 9 to 3 that day, and then I have a meeting from 4 to 5:30. And this is all virtual, all online. So we could just put one more on it and I'll skip church and it'll all be good.
Oh, that sounds like a horrible day though, Barb.
Yeah.
That sounds like the worst day ever.
The teaching all day is team teaching. There will be 3 of us, so I won't be on stage the whole time. But yeah, I'll be there all day.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
like, I know how I
no.
feel after I spend all day online.
Because I'm better. I mean, Wednesday I have church, but I don't have other workshops, and so I'm more likely to be available on a Wednesday.
Well, the 20th, would 7:30 be better than 7?
7.
I would prefer 7.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, the 20th at 7. All right, and then we'll need to do a meeting in March, and if we kind of stick with the third Wednesday of the month, that'll be the 17th of March. I know that's way far away, but if we're having a meeting in April, we don't want to get too late in the month, and we want to make sure everything's in place.
And when
Yes.
is Iowa State spring break?
We don't have one this
We
year.
don't have one this year, so.
Or maybe that might be too late in the month. Should
No. So the only thing I'm going to ask is a favor. Could somebody send me reminders of these dates as soon as they're done? So I'm
Yeah.
currently trying to get a flyer out. We have a visit day on Thursday, and I'm trying to get it out to all the FCS teachers. And I'm literally going through hundreds of emails right now, deleting 2 spaces and adding semicolons in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't want to, like, if I exit this window, it will all go away. But if I don't, if I get an email reminder, I'll set up the Zooms.
Okay, all right. I'll try to send an email out tonight or tomorrow night about
It
these
doesn't
meetings.
matter.
But I need to do it soon. It needs to be done earlier.
Well, and then I should, if I don't get right back to you with the Zoom, so you have them, like, I had this one set up long before. I shouldn't have just gotten it to you today, so.
No, that's okay. It's okay. So let's just go ahead and I'll send out a reminder about the January and March meetings, and then maybe in January we can plan May. And then I think that will be the end of the meetings for the year. Unless we want to go ahead and do it right now.
Nope,
Want to do
too
Nope.
far.
Either way.
calendar doesn't go that far. All right. Is there anything else? Any other discussion that we need to have tonight? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move adjournment.
Okay, it's been moved to, we adjourn. Second,
Barb Wolin.
oh, did Barb raise her hand? Okay, thank you. Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, okay, thank you. Anybody opposed? I wasn't supposed to say aye, I'm sorry. It's getting late. All those in favor, and it's been passed and moved. So we're gonna say goodnight. Thank you very much for your time. I know we'll probably have lots of work left to do tonight, but thinking of all of you, please keep safe and well.
Everyone else too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.